welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Welcome to Syosset Library's Turn the Page podcast. I'm Jessica, your host, and I am here with the author of a book that is super, super fun. And I have to say, I was just telling her before we signed on that Etiquette for Lovers and Killers by Anna Fitzgerald Healy, who is our guest today, is very, very popular. And to the point that I was reading it, I was in the middle of it. I thought that I'd left my copy at a pizza place. I didn't, I found it. But my first thought was like, oh, crap, now I have to go and get another copy of it so I can finish it. So I went to look in the library I work at, and it was out. And then I went to look at the library of my home district, and it was out. And it's out everywhere.
Amazing.
I'm hearing really good things about it. People really enjoy it, and it's extremely unique. So, Anna, welcome to Turn the Page.
Yay!
So happy to have you here. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and about this book and where it came from for you.
I'm a kind of weird girl. I have a silly sense of humor. I feel like my whole life, everyone's been like, oh, like, she's cute, she's quirky, like, we don't really understand what's going on over there, but we'll, like, put up with her. And about 5 years ago, I was trying so hard to put together these little pitch decks to write blurbs for online travel magazines. I was trying my hardest. They wanted nothing to do with me. And then I was just like, to hell with it. Like, I'm going to the bookstore. So I went, but like nothing would do. Like, I was in the romance aisle, I'm in the thriller aisle, like I don't know where I'm going, like having a huge crisis of conscience. And then I just like picked up two books from two different genres and I left. I went to sleep. And then I was dreaming about like, I'm from Maine. I live in Los Angeles now. It's early, that's why it's gray. It'll be sunny later on. But I was dreaming about like my grandparents' house in Maine, and I just woke up and like I don't know, I've heard about like these like lightning strike moments. And I had one. It was just like all of this stuff came together in 1 second, and I deleted what I had been working on, and I like opened up a new Word document, and I think the title was like mystery romance weird question mark. And I like had a 7,000 word day. Like I just like went to town on it, and I like got Billie, I got the setting, got some of the themes, like the mystery was there, some of the other characters. And I just sort of got swept away by an idea. And it's been really gratifying because like now my friends are reading this book and they're like, oh wow, I finally understand you a little bit. Like
It's real, yeah, it's a really fun book, and it is really interesting. It's kind of hard to box into a genre, as you've kind of explained, but you have a lot of fun with that weird period when the 60s was not the 60s yet. A lot of people talk about the 60s, but
they're
what
talking about the late 60s.
they're talking about
About
the late 60s
1969.
and the early 70s. They are not talking about the 60s when, the Beatles were still essentially, I mean, they're wonderful and we all know how great they are now. And, but they were still kind of being marketed as what we would see as a boy band these
They
days.
were they were
Yeah.
wholesome. They hadn't done acid yet.
I mean, they weren't wholesome, but that was what the package was. The
Yeah.
package was that they were wearing suits and they were good boys. In reality, they were dragged out of nightclubs in Germany with leather pants and
Ooh.
Elvis quaffs, and, like John Lennon had gotten his girlfriend pregnant, which is why he was married, ladies. He was, it was like it was a shotgun wedding. It wasn't like, um, my
From
apologies to Julian Lennon, who's lovely. For all accounts, I know that that's a sore subject because most people think about Sean and his John's romance with Yoko, but I mean, he was he was not like like this like nice young man. Be like, yes, I'm married. You please stay away from me. Quite the opposite. And I think famously, like refused to do the full bow, like let his hands flop, when they were supposed to bow on stage in their suit. So, like that's the 60s that people think about is this rebellious time with hippies and long hair and, like Sergeant Pepper and the Grateful Dead. And that was not what the 60s was like for most of it. For most of it, it was a continuation of what people think of as the 50s.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a hangover from the 50s. And it's so funny. One of my publishers actually said almost that exact same sentence that you started off with. She's like, 1964, this is before the 60s have really started. And I was like, it's so right. Because I've been researching 1969 recently, and like everything changed so quickly. But it's like that 1964 period, it's very fraught because it's right before like the Vietnam War starts fully drafting people. It's after like Kennedy got shot. And it's this weird moment where like we're no longer in Pleasantville, but we don't know where we are yet. And it's kind of an exciting place to be, I think.
And it was very funny seeing it through Billie's eyes. Billie, who's she's out of school, she wants to find a full-time job, and she's in this place where like the world is made of debutantes and people who still have calling cards, and etiquette is extreme. These etiquette lessons are extremely important. And I mean, Billie is horny, first of all. I thought that that was very funny, not because it's funny that a girl is, but it was, obviously the opposite of how she was supposed to portray herself in these etiquette lessons. But man, she like would see somebody and she's like, yeah, I want to make out, which was probably what your warrant's supposed to do according to etiquette, sorry.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, and then at the same time she finds herself investigating a murder which involves these families that are very
Prominent.
prominent. So it was really just kind of fun seeing her through all of these pieces. So the etiquette piece, where did that all come in from you? How much research into these etiquette books did you do?
I went pretty deep. I went all in. In the first like 7,000 word day, etiquette was one of the weird themes. Like one of the, like, I guess it was sort of like throwing paint on a canvas, and it was one of the things that stuck. And I like, because for me, like, my grandparents' world in Eastport is very like etiquette is laced into those memories. I remember that book, the Amy Vanderbilt book, and like I was like 8 and I was balancing it on my head and I said I was studying it. Clearly, I was not. Um, um, but perhaps hoping to get some of it through osmosis. But then I just sort of went into the thick of it. And right after the first murder, there's this one line where the main character says like, this is an etiquette nightmare. What is the polite reaction when you discover a dead body at a social function? Like,
Yeah.
if I do anything, I'm going to offend the host. Like, if I don't, like, I'm a horrible human being. And like, she actually like doesn't know how to balance out like what she's been thrust into with what she knows like the parameters of being a decent person are. And like she's like never really known how to balance herself in any situation. So she does dive into the etiquette theme a little bit, just I think to give herself something solid to hold on to. And I really loved studying the etiquette books. I feel like it brought me closer to my family a little bit because I definitely read the Amy Vanderbilt book, which is on my bookcase, cover to cover, and it's at least 750 pages. And then I read the etiquette, like the Emily Post books too, and I learned a lot. A lot of it is not useful information for me, like how many Chineses to pack in a trousseau. Um, I think it's seven. I
But it's interesting because for practicality reasons, who except for a very small subset of people would need something like this? And again, like, even though clearly Billie is running with this group, and knows that these things are supposedly taken very seriously, especially like if you're a woman, I suppose, like if you're a man, whatevs. Well, but
There are chapters to The Bachelor
yeah,
in these books
yeah,
telling them how to behave themselves as well, or not.
really.
Uh, yeah, there's like chapters about what a man should do, like if he's being very sought after.
It's all so theoretical, and it's hard not to read, those chapter headings, kind of like with tongue in cheek, where, again, like Billie is trying to figure out where she fits. Like, she's a very odd girl with a very odd, or at least seen as a very odd girl with a very odd, type of personality. And, she's not from that world. She's not from anything that's, like that. And but at the same time, like, the people she's talking to, because she finds this letter and she finds these diamond engagement rings and this body, she's following this trail of people who knew this woman Gertrude, and then this trail of people who knew this woman Clara, um and into this crazy world where you're supposed to, these men are supposed to be acting a certain way and women are supposed to be acting a certain way. And it's just very funny, because nothing makes a lot. It's like it's absurdist in the best way.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm glad you got that. I love absurdism. I think it's a great genre. But I just love like diving into the dichotomy of it all. I feel like that's what makes life interesting is contrast. It's the push and pull of civility and incivility. And like there's a quote much later in the book where she's like, "You are the most civilized and uncivilized person I know." And I think that's like kind of sexy, Like there's like some weird energy surrounding that. And like Gertrude is the first murder, but she's also one of the main characters. It was really important to me to flush out that victim. And like the great question throughout the entire book is like, is she really a victim or not? But she had learned how to portray herself as this upper crust, like potentially civilized woman. But then she learned how to subvert it. And there's sort of this idea that like through like delving into her murder, into getting to the bottom of it, maybe Billie can also learn how to walk that path.
Yeah, that was a really unique part of the book as well. And it almost like I got Vertigo vibes from it. And I don't mean like I felt like Vertigo. I mean like the movie Vertigo,
Okay.
which is atmospheric in a way, and not to spoil anything from this book or spoil a movie that's well over 40 decades old, probably. It's one of my favorites, though.
Me too. It's so
But
good.
but I did get some Vertigo vibes from it, just with the way that she went about delving into, you know what, I'm just going to solve this murder. And it was really fun and unique to read and get just that feel from.
Yeah, that's so funny. So no one's pointed that out before, but I was thinking about Vertigo the entire time I was working on this. Um, I love how stylized it is, but it's also like it's mysterious. It's like kind of weird, but it's
Well,
also
that's the thing. When I try to explain it to people who are like, I'm not going to watch this movie, just tell me what it's about, it's ridiculous. It's
it is.
absolutely ridiculous. And like, I've watched it with people, and it is a very long movie, who are like, none of that really makes a lot of sense. And I'm like, I know. It doesn't. It really, really doesn't. But also, what a fun ride you're on.
Yeah,
While it's like wacky and not making a ton of sense, and it's beautiful, right?
I mean, I think there is like I've actually watched Vertigo before and been fully immersed, fully in that world, but I've also watched it and like been like on a picnic, like one of those outdoor screenings and like just been sort of looking at it from the outside. And when you are looking at it from the outside, like there's a lot of issues that crop up. But when like I allow myself to be swept away by it, then I'm just like, ooh, like don't stop. Like, and in Vertigo, she's sort of investigating.
I mean, Jimmy Stewart is investigate. It's again, like, I don't want to
Oh yeah,
spoil anything specific, but there definitely were vibes there. And of course, it was funny to me that Billie is like, well, I'm just going to investigate this murder. And if there happen to be really attractive people along the way, maybe I'll flirt with them a little bit. We'll see where this goes. These people who might be murderers. Let's just
or
flirt a little bit.
or the policeman, is
Yes, yes. Let's just with whomever. And I liked it because in that society, yeah, she's very much an odd duck, but she's also very much like the liberated woman of the 60s, quote unquote. I'm making air quotes here, that will become, I suppose, another type of archetype years later.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I referenced some of the quotes from some of the early feminists actually when I was there's a sex scene later on in the book. And I wanted to bring like just a sort of homage to some of the early women who were pro making out.
Yeah, no, it worked and it was fun. This book as a whole is fun, and the setting. Talk a little bit about that, because that was really interesting. I actually was unaware of the whirlpool that you reference. Was it Big Sow? Is it?
Old Sow.
Old Sow. Yes, yes, yes. Talk a little bit about the setting as well, because to be cliche in a way, the setting is a character as well.
Oh, absolutely. To be honest, I feel like any book with teeth, like the setting should be a character. And this, like, you're even seeing it on the cover, you've got some wild splashing waves. But so Eastport, Maine, where my grandparents are from, I spent a lot of time there, like in the summers when I was little. Um, it has the highest range of tides in the United States, 28 feet tides. It's crazy. So, and it has one of the deepest harbors. It's at the bottom of the Bay of Fundy. And it's just the ocean is extreme there. There are an estimated, I believe, like 750 shipwrecks. Um, I, I was actually emailing an ocean historian who specializes in that region because I just wanted to know how many shipwrecks, and he's like, they're everywhere, Anna. Um, and it also has, strangely, I believe it is the largest whirlpool in the Western Hemisphere. It's like 20 feet across, and it's called Old Sow because it sounds like a pig, like sort of oinking when it's spinning. And it's very surreal. My friends, when they first read this, they were like, that's a weird, like, lie about a whirlpool, Anna. And I was like, no, like, this is the truth. But it was really interesting to research those islands, the lighthouses, the whirlpool, the beaches, the also like the lakes and the forests surrounding it. Honestly, it's been such a gift getting to dive into like my own past a little bit and to explore where I'm from and then to build it brick by brick.
Well, it's a great book. I must ask, are you working on another book in the future? Is this the end of Billie's story specifically?
I plead the fifth. I I am actually like I went on a few weird dates to the central coast of California, which is another place where the setting is very much a character. And actually, like Vertigo goes almost into the central coast.
Yeah, it's San Francisco, but there are some trips that are taken.
Yeah, she goes to that weird monastery or whatever, mission. But so I I have been studying the Central Coast a little bit, and I just think it's an amazing, eerie, Twilight Zone, extremely beautiful place, and I want to know more.
Excellent. I am looking forward to it myself. Check out Etiquette for Lovers and Killers. I almost said Killers and Lovers, and I'm like, it's Lovers and Killers. It's Lovers and Killers. Yeah, check check it out. It is super fun. It's very unique, and I'm looking forward to whatever else you come up with.
Yay! Thank you so much, Jessica. It's been lovely meeting you. Thank you for having me.
You as well, and we are going to close this chapter of Turn the Page.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.